Hello everyone. In this video we will talk about one of the other cases of ionic equilibrium, which is about the solubility of the salts. So broadly, when we look at the cases of ionic equilibrium that we are discussing, right? So what we have discussed, we began with the ionic equilibrium in the case of the acids and bases. When the acids and bases are dissociating, we talked about the ionic equilibrium. So they may dissociate by themselves or they may dissociate with water, where we'll talk about the common ion effect between the water and the acid or base. And we can talk about the ionic equilibrium in the case of what we have seen as salt hydrolysis. That is the second case of ionic equilibrium that we have talked. So salt hydrolysis is what? It is the phenomena where the ions from the weaker acid part or base part of the salt, because salts we divide into how many types? 4 types of salts are there. Salts of strong acid, strong base, strong acid, weak base, weak acid and strong base, weak acid and weak base salts. Other than this, these remaining 3, right, they will undergo what we call as the hydrolysis, the phenomena where the ion coming from the weaker part of either the acid or the base will undergo reaction with the water. That is what we will studied in the hydrolysis part. And the third context of equilibrium in case of ions is the solubility of the salts. So we'll see what is the solubility of the salts and how do we talk about the equilibrium here. And this is particularly important because here we do have scope of getting questions which might be a little bit numerically less intensive. So if you're looking at examinations like NEET, quite a number of years, right, this is a favored topic where the acid base dissociation in water, right, that might be little bit more numerically tedious kind of questions. This part will have numerically less, the number of workout steps will be less for the numericals in this. So that's why this is a little bit favored area for exams like this. Even JEE mains also, we do get a good number of questions from this particular area. So let's see what is this solubility. Now, solubility is basically, this is something that we will again study in detail in chapter in +2, which is liquid solutions. So if you look at the idea of maximum dissolution of salt in solution. What is the idea of maximum dissolution of salt in solution? Let's say, for example, we have a solvent. Okay, let's talk about solvent being what? Water. And there is some salt. So generally here the idea of the equilibrium in case of solubility, right, we will be talking for type of salts which we call them as sparingly soluble salts. So these are not highly soluble salts like NaCl or KCl. These are what? Sparingly soluble salts like silver chloride or silver cyanide. So these were basically what? Sparingly soluble salt. Means they will not be able to dissolve in that solvent to a large extent. They will only be able to dissolve partially. That is what we will be calling as sparingly soluble salts. So what happens if you put that AgCl or silver cyanide into even barium sulfate? All these are what? Sparingly soluble salts. So if you put them into water, what we'll see is the salt will dissolve, but not as much as we'll see in the case of say NaCl or KCl. It will be dissolving only partially. So if we just drop some very small amount of the salt into water and then stir it, what we'll see is the salt will dissolve. If we add some more amount, then we'll see that the salt might still dissolve. And like that, if we reach the maximum amount of dissolution you can have, that is what we will also be calling by the name of saturated solution. So when we have the maximum amount of the salt dissolved, that is what we will be calling as our saturated solution. And at this saturation level, and if we have lesser amount, means we will call it as unsaturated. So the word basically unsaturated means you can still dissolve some salt. If we somehow are able to achieve more amount dissolved, usually this is done by heating and other techniques, we will call such solutions as super saturated. So we'll have unsaturated, the maximum amount of dissolved state is basically the saturated state, and we have if we can somehow achieve a higher amount of dissolution, Generally this we'll do by using what? The idea of heating. We'll be calling such solutions as what? Supersaturated. So here we are talking about what? The saturated solutions. So saturated solution, we are having maximum amount of the salt dissolved. And let's say for example here, I'm just giving one very vague idea. For barium sulfate, right, the saturation amount that is dissolved is say for example 0.02 moles per liter. So this much is the amount of the salt we are able to dissolve per liter. This is basically what we'll be calling as the molar solubility or solubility, and we'll use the symbol S to indicate it. Now sometimes we can also measure the solubility in terms of gram solubility. So we can say it as what is the number of grams of the salt that is dissolved per liter. But the more popular one is molar solubility, because obviously we know the mass based analysis will always have limitations. So the molar solubility is what we'll be focusing on. And what is the molar solubility? It represents, or it refers to, the maximum amount of the salt that can be dissolved in a given volume of the solvent. And this is basically indicated by the symbol capital S. And when we say maximum amount of the salt dissolved, we are talking about what? The saturated solutions. Now let us see how we will bring in the concept of ionic equilibrium in the case of the sparingly soluble salts dissolution. If we look at the dissolution of a salt, let's say for example we have the dissolution of barium sulfate. Barium sulfate is solid state. So when it is dissolving in water, it is going to give us what? Barium 2 plus ions and sulfate ions. These two ions will be in the aqueous state. Now here we'll have an equilibrium, because this is what? Sparingly soluble. It is not, if it is completely soluble means all the salt would have become what? Barium 2 plus ions and sulfate ions. It is only sparingly soluble means only fraction of this will be dissolved. So here we can talk about an equilibrium constant. What will be the equilibrium constant? Product of the ions that are produced, Ba2 plus ions into sulfate ions, divided by the salt concentration. And we know salt, since it is a solid, right? Remember, this is something that we have been talking about from the chemical equilibrium itself. So if you have a solid or a pure solvent, then the active mass of the substance will be taken as what? 1. So if we take the active mass as 1, the new equilibrium constant in this case is what we are going to be now calling as Ksp. So Ksp is simply going to be what? The product of the ions of the particular salt when it is dissolved raised to the suitable powers. Here the coefficients are 1 and 1 for both the ions, so that's why we are not having any powers to barium 2 plus concentration or sulfate ion concentration. We'll see in some other examples how it is going to change. So Ksp is what? It is the product of the ions concentration raised to the suitable powers, and this is taken where? This is taken at the saturation level, basically the equilibrium. So equilibrium means what? The saturation. So when the solution is basically saturated. So look at the definition of the solubility product. So solubility product is indicated by what? Ksp symbol. So it is measured as the product of concentration of ions in a saturated solution. This is important, of an electrolyte at a given temperature. So every equilibrium constant will be depending upon what? Temperature. So this is what we will be calling as Ksp. Now, like the way the dissolution of an acid or a base, we will track in terms of what? Ka and Kb. Hydrolysis of salt, we will talk in terms of what? Kh, hydrolysis constant. Here the solubility of salt, for the sparingly soluble salts, we will be monitoring in terms of what? Ksp. So Ksp is nothing but what? You can think of it like for water, Kw. So for water, what is the Kw? H plus ion concentration into OH minus ion concentration. Here what is Ksp? The product of concentration of ions raised to the suitable powers. That we should always keep in mind. Raised to the suitable powers. The powers are nothing but what? The stoichiometric coefficients. And these concentration of ions is at where? It is at the saturation level. It is basically at the saturation level. And Ksp, just like other equilibrium constants, is going to be depending upon what? Temperature. So if you look at the relation between Ksp and molar solubility. So this is one of the popular areas for numerical questions, because this doesn't involve much of an mathematical calculation. So what is molar solubility? We said It refers to what? The maximum amount of the salt that is dissolved in a particular volume of the solution. And Ksp is what? It is the product of concentration of ions raised to the powers at the saturation level. So what will be the relation between them? So these two are basically related. So we'll see how these two will be related. So we'll start with specific examples. Let's say we have AgCl. AgCl is dissolved. It's a sparingly soluble salt. It is going to give us what? Ag plus ions and Cl minus ions. Now here, if say for example I dissolved one particle of AgCl, I'm going to get what? One Ag plus ion is going to come and one Cl minus is going to come. If I am dissolving S moles per liter, S is what? Molar solubility. If I am dissolving S moles per liter as per the balanced equation, right? If I am dissolving S moles per liter means I'm going to get how much here? S moles. I'm going to get how much here? S moles, because every one AgCl particle gives one Ag plus ion and one Cl minus ion. So what are the saturation concentrations of Ag plus S? Cl minus saturation concentration is what? S. Now what is the Ksp formula? The saturation concentration of Ag plus the power will be 1 only, there is no power, into the saturation concentration of Cl minus, means what? S into S, which is equal to S square. So what is the formula relating both of them? Ksp is equal to S square. Now this is going to be changing depending upon the type of salt. How? We'll see that. If we have say for example some other sparingly soluble salt, let us say take barium chloride, BaCl2 solid, it is going to dissolve. It is also sparingly soluble. It is going to give us what? Ba2 plus and 2Cl minus. Both are what? Aqueous. Now here if we dissolve S moles per liter of barium 2 plus, we have to see one thing. Every BaCl2 particle, right, will give 1 Ba2 plus, but it is going to give 2 Cl minus ions. Means what? If you are dissolving S moles per liter of barium chloride, you are going to get what? S moles per liter of barium 2 plus. But the chlorine concentration, chloride ions concentration will be what? 2s. So what we will be having is the saturation concentration of Ba2 plus is what? S. Saturation concentration of chloride ions will be what? 2s it is going to be. And what is the Ksp formula here? The product of concentration of ions raised to the suitable powers. Raised to suitable powers means what? Look at this. What is the coefficient for the chloride ions? 2. Means we have to raise it by 2. So what we'll have? Barium 2 plus saturation concentration is S. So we'll have S into chloride ion saturation concentration is what? 2s. 2s the whole square. 2s the whole square means what? 4s square will come. So what is 4s square will come from here? Already S is there. Totally what is it? 4s cube. So this is the relation. Ksp value will be equal to what? 4s cube. So for the given particular salt, the Ksp and molar solubility relation will be changing. We look at some more examples on this. Say for example we have another sparingly soluble salt, barium phosphate, the sparingly soluble salt. Okay, so if it is dissolved, then it is going to give us what? 3 barium 2 plus ions and 2 phosphate ions. It's going to give us what? 3 barium 2 plus ions and 2 phosphate ions. If the molar solubility is S, then for every one particle of barium phosphate we are getting what? 3 ions of barium 2 plus, means here we will get 3s. And for every particle of barium phosphate we will get 2 phosphate ions, means here we will get how much? 2s we are going to get here. So the saturation concentrations of barium 2 plus is what? The barium 2 plus saturation concentration will be 3s. Phosphate ion saturation concentration will be what? 2s. So what is the ionic the solubility product formula? Solubility product will be equal to what? The barium 2 plus ion concentration power 3 will come. Why? Because the factor here is 3 into phosphate ion concentration power 2. Why power 2 will come? Because the factor here is 2. So barium 2 plus ion concentration is what? 3s. So 3s the whole cube into phosphate ion concentration is what? 2s the whole square. So totally what is it? 3 cube is 27 into 2 square is what? 4. 27 fours are what? 108. So 108 s cube into s square is what? S power 5. So this is the formula for the Ksp and S relation. So what is the formula? Ksp will be equal to what? 108 s power 5. And if you have a general salt, like we have AXBY, this is general salt, solid state. Now on dissolving, it is going to give us what? It is going to give X number of A particles. I'm not giving the charge because we don't know whether it will be positive or negative, plus Y number of B particles. A particles will be ions, maybe cation, maybe anion. B also will be what? Ions, maybe cations, maybe anions. Here for every S moles per liter that we dissolve, we will get what? X times S for the concentration of A, Y times S for the concentration of B. So what is the saturation concentration of A? It will be X into S. What is the saturation concentration of B? It is going to be what? Y into S. Now the KSP formula will be what? KSP will be equal to, what is the KSP value going to be? The A particles concentration power X, B particles concentration power Y. This is the formula. So what is the A particles concentration? XS whole power X, and then YS whole power Y. So what is the relation? X power X into Y power Y into S power X plus Y. So this is what is the general formula for the KSP. So what is the KSP for general salt AXBY? X power X, Y power Y into S power X plus Y. Clear? So this is how we are going to find the relation between KSP and then solubility product. So let's look at the question over here. Calculate the solubility of A2X3. We have to find what solubility of the salt A2X3 in pure water. Assuming that neither kind of ion reacts with water, means here there is no hydrolysis concept. So here basically there is no hydrolysis. Okay. The solubility product of A2X3 is given as what? 1.1 into 10 power minus 23. What is solubility product value given as? 1.1 into 10 power minus 23. We need to find what? The solubility or molar solubility. Yes. So look at this. What is the type of the salt given here? A2X3 is given to us. This on dissolving is going to give us what? 2 A type of particles and 3 X type of particles. I mean, we can even put some tentative charge on them, but we are not putting any charge. So if we look at the relation, if we are dissolving S moles per liter, means here we will get how much? 2S, because the factor here is 2. Here we will get how much? 3S amount we are going to get. So as a result, right, the A concentration will be what? 2S saturation concentration. X concentration will be what? 3S. What is the KSP formula? Saturation concentration of A power 2 will come. Saturation concentration of X power 3 will come. Means what? 2S power 2, 3S power 3. So what is it finally? 2 square is what? 2 square is the value of 4 into 3 square is what? 27 into S power 5. So this is the KSP value. What is the KSP value given to us? 1.1 into 10 power minus 23 is given to us. So finally what we will be having? 4 into 27 is what? 108. So 108 S power 5 is equal to what? 1.1 into 10 power minus 23. So S power 5 will be equal to what? 1.1 by 108 input 10 power minus 23. So think about it. If I write it as like 110 by 108 into 10 power minus 25, that is S power 5. So here what we'll see is this 110 by 108 is almost like nearly 1. Okay, so S will be approximately what? Fifth root of 10 power minus 25 means approximately 1 into 10 power minus 5. What is the value of S? S will be approximately what? 1 into 10 power minus 5. This is the approximate value of the molar solubility. Okay, now we look at one more question. Look at this question. The values of KSP of two sparingly soluble salts, nickel hydroxide and AgCN. The values of two sparingly soluble salts, KSP values are given. Nickel hydroxide and silver cyanide. What are the values? 2 in 10 power minus 15 and 6 in 10 power minus 17. Which salt is more soluble, and we have to explain why. See, when we talk about which salt is more soluble, we will be able to tell it based upon what? Molar solubility. So whichever salt has got a higher value for molar solubility, that will be basically more soluble. Whichever has got a lesser value for molar solubility, that will be what? Less soluble. So look at this, the values of KSP are given. So from KSP we have to find what? S value, and based on the S value we can tell. So what are these? So we'll just separate them out. What are the two salts given to us? Nickel hydroxide is 1. On dissolving, it is going to give us what? Nickel 2 plus ions and 2 OH minus ions. So if S is the solubility here, or we can call it as what? Maybe we can, or we can just keep it as S only. So we will get S, because every 1 nickel hydroxide gives 1 nickel 2 plus ion, and 2 hydrox ions will come, so 2S. So the saturation concentration of nickel 2 plus is what? It is going to be S. Hydroxide and saturation concentration is what? 2S. So what is the formula for the KSP and S? KSP is equal to nickel 2 plus ion concentration into OH minus ion concentration square. Means what is going to come? S into 2S the whole square. So it will be 4S cube. That is the KSP value. Means KSP for the nickel hydroxide is what? 2 in 10 power minus 15. So let it be, this is what? 2 into 10 power minus 15. This is 4S cube. Means we can see that the value, right? So if we look at S cube will be what? 2 by 4 into 10 power minus 15. Means we can call it as what? 1 by 2 into 10 power minus 15. So from here we will get the S value. What will be the S value? S value will be cube root of 1 by 2 into 10 power minus 5. Cube root of 1 by 2 into 10 power minus 5. So this is the value of S. Let's keep it on one side. Now we'll go to the other salt. What is the other salt? AgCN. AgCN, what is the KSP value given to us? For the AgCN, right? When this is dissolved, we are going to get what? 1 Ag plus and 1 Cn minus. If the molar solubility is S, means we'll get what? S amount, and we'll also get S amount. So here what is the KSP formula going to be? Ag plus ion concentration is S, Cn minus is S. So it is what? S square. So 6 into 10 power minus 17 is equal to what? S square. Means from here S will be equal to what? Root 6 in, or root, we can say root 60. So if you can write it as 6 in 10 power minus 17 can be written as what? It can be written as 60 into 10 power minus 18. So it will be what? Root 60 into 10 to the power of minus 9, because root of 10 power minus 18 is what? 10 power minus 9 will come. So if you compare both of them, we can clearly see that this, is basically very less. Which one? AgCN, the solubility, molar solubility value is what? In the range of 10 power minus 9, whereas the molar solubility will be in the range of what? 10 power minus 5 for the nickel hydroxide. So they're asking which is more soluble. So which will be more soluble? Wherever the molar solubility is high, that will be more soluble. So the nickel hydroxide, which has got higher order for the molar solubility, will be what? More soluble salt. So we have to find, whenever they're asking which is more soluble, what we have to do? We have to find which of them is basically having a higher value of S. Based on that only we can tell which will be more soluble. Clear? Now in case of the normal equilibrium, we talked about the equilibrium constant, which tells us what is the relation between the concentrations of the products and reactants at the stage of equilibrium. So it is all expressed in terms of what? The concentrations of the substances at equilibrium. And we have one more parameter called as reaction quotient. So what is reaction quotient? It is a parameter that is used to track what is the progress of the reaction. So it is just like equilibrium constant formula, but we use concentrations at any given stage. Now very much similarly, in the case of the solubility of the salts, we have the idea of what we call as ionic product. Now ionic product is taken as a product of concentrations of ions at any stage of the dissolution. It is just like our Q, like the way we have Q. Say for example, I am talking about the dissolving of barium sulfate. Okay, so it is going to give us what? Barium 2 plus ions and sulfate ions. Both will be in the dissolved state or the aqueous state, let's say for example. So here, what is the KSP formula we have written? The Ba2 plus ion concentration into sulfate ion concentration. when the Ba2 plus concentration and sulfate ion concentrations are at saturation. Now ionic product, which we can just indicate with a symbol IP, or sometimes people even use the symbol Q, is just like the same formula. We'll write just same formula as the solubility product, but the difference is what? This formula we can put whatever the values of Ba2 plus and sulfate ions at the available stage. So this is not the saturation stage. This can be at any available stage. And if we reach saturation, means what is going to happen? This ionic product or Q whatever is going to be what? KSP. That is basically meaning we are at saturation. So when the ionic product and KSP are equal, means we are basically at the saturation level. Now just like the way the reaction quotient in a normal chemical equilibrium is used to track the progress of a chemical reaction, here also, right, the comparison between the ionic product and KSP is used to understand what is the level of saturation. Say for example, if the ionic product is less than KSP, means still the concentrations of ions can increase further in the solution, means the solution is currently what? It is unsaturated, and basically we can dissolve more solute. If ionic product is equal to KSP, means we have just reached the saturation level, means we cannot dissolve any more. If ionic product is more than KSP, means what we'll see is somehow more ions are added. Then what is going to happen? There is going to be precipitation, and such solutions we'll call them as what? Supersaturated. So whenever we compare the ionic product value and KSP, just like the normal chemical reactions, right, what we say, Q less than K means what? The reaction quotient less means the reaction is going to proceed in the forward direction. Q is equal to K means what? We are already at the equilibrium stage. So this is what we have discussed in the case of normal chemical equilibrium. If Q is more than K, means what? The concentrations of the product is higher, so the reaction is going to go in what? Backward direction. So similarly here also what we are having, ionic product is less than KSP, means this is what? Unsaturated solution. Ionic product is exactly equal to KSP, means what? This is saturated, so we will not be able to dissolve any more solute. Ionic product is more than KSP, means what we are basically having is a supersaturated solution, and there is going to be what? Precipitation. So this is about the ionic product and KSP comparison. Let's look at a question. Equal volumes of 0.04 molar calcium chloride and 0.0008 molar Na2SO4. So we are having what? Equal volumes of 0.04 molar calcium chloride and 0.0008 molar Na2SO4 are mixed. Will a precipitate form? So here what is the precipitate that they are talking about? Calcium sulfate. So how the calcium sulfate can form? Ca2 plus ions will come from calcium chloride. Sulfate ions will come from Na2SO4. So they're asking will there be a precipitate that will be formed. So what we need to be doing is, in this question, the calcium 2 plus ion concentration will come. We can find it from the concentration of the calcium chloride. We can find what is the concentration of the sulfate ions from the Na2SO4, because calcium chloride and Na2SO4, right, we assume that they are completely dissociating. Now using these concentrations we will find what? Ionic product. We will find the ionic product for the calcium sulfate formula. If the ionic product is less than KSP value, means this is what? Unsaturated. Equal to KSP means what? This is saturated. Both the cases there will be no precipitate. When the precipitate will be formed? When the ionic product is more than KSP, that is when the precipitate will be formed. Okay. So if we look at the idea of mixing of equal volumes. So what do you mean by mixing of equal volumes? When we mix equal volumes of the two substances, the overall volume is going to become what? 2 times the original volume of any substance. Let us say this is volume V, this is volume V. When we mix both of them, the overall volume is going to become what? 2V. So if we mix V ml of both of them, the CaCl2 on dissociation gives us what? 1 calcium chloride particle will give 1 calcium 2 plus ion. Means calcium 2 plus ion concentration will be what? 0.04 into V by 2V. Why? Because the overall volume after mixing is going to become double. Similarly, sulfate ion that is coming from the Na2SO4, right? 0.0008 into V divided by 2V. So we are multiplying the molarity with volume. That is going to give us the concentration of SO4 2 minus ions. And again we are dividing with what? Final volume 2V. So thereby we will be able to see that VV is cancelled, VV is cancelled. We will get the concentration of the calcium 2 plus ions and then sulfate ions. Now using these concentrations, if we basically are finding the ionic product, what is the ionic product for the calcium sulfate going to be? The concentration of calcium 2 plus ions into concentration of sulfate ions. If you find the ionic product, what is the ionic product coming as? 8 into 10 power minus 6. The ionic product is coming as what? 8 into 10 power minus 6. And what is the KSP value given to us? KSP given is what? 2.4 into 10 power minus 5. So what we see is this ionic product is less than the KSP. Less than KSP means what? It is unsaturated. The ionic product is less than KSP means what? It is unsaturated. Unsaturated means what? There will be no precipitation. So how do we find whether there is going to be an precipitate formed or not? We'll check it by using the KSP and ionic product comparison. Clear? So these are the kind of questions we can expect on the relation between ionic product and KSP in terms of the applications. Now this formation of precipitate, right, is used widely not only in terms of the medicinal applications but also on certain cases like the treatment of wastewater, etc. So one of the popular medicinal applications is to enhance the visibility of intestinal organs. So usually when you look at the imaging techniques, right, that are used for the diagnosis of any illness, if you look at the typical method, which is the X-ray imaging method, it may not be very much effective. So what it will be done is, like, we have a suspension of barium sulfate. So barium sulfate, already we talked about it. Barium sulfate will be forming what? It can precipitate. So we have a suspension of barium sulfate, which is typically like a chalky powder, and this is ingested by the patient, and the KSP value for the barium sulfate is very less. It's very sparingly soluble salt, 1.1 in 10 power minus 10. So very little amount will be dissolved, and we'll see that most of the amount will be forming what? It will be forming a coating. It will be forming a coating on the lining of the patient's intestinal tract. And these barium coated areas, right, of the digestive tract, they can appear very visibly in the white color when we are doing the X-ray imaging technique, and thereby we will be able to see very much detail. So wherever this barium coated parts are there, they will be visible in white, and wherever it is not coated, we'll see them in the dark color. So this is how the X-ray imaging technique is enhanced by the use of barium sulfate. Not only that, even in the wastewater treatment, like typically if you look at most of the industrial effluent, the phosphate ions are one of the common contaminants, and a common method to remove these phosphate ions from water is basically by the addition of calcium hydroxide. So calcium hydroxide is what? Lime. We can also say calcium hydroxide in water, we'll call it as what? Lime water. Now when you have the lime, if it is converted into calcium carbonate, and the calcium carbonate will then react with the phosphate ions, which will be forming a complex. The complex is what? Hydroxypeptide complex. So Ca5PO4 thrice OH. So this will be able to form an precipitate. So this precipitate, right, will be helping to remove the phosphate ions. So the industrial effluent which contains these phosphate ions, we can treat it, and we can basically make the precipitate to form out of it by using lime. So this is another application of the precipitation. So precipitations are a common a method that is used in various aspects, even including some of the food material making, right? We use the idea of precipitation. Okay. So while we have one salt which can precipitate if its ionic product is more than the solubility product, what if there is a possibility of two salts getting precipitated? Which of them will have relatively higher ease of precipitation? So to make this a little bit more clear, let's say for example we have Ag plus ions, Cl minus ions, and I minus ions. So when we look at Ag plus and Cl minus, this can lead to the precipitation of AgCl. when we look at Ag plus and I minus, this can lead to the precipitation of AgI. Now if these three ions are present, which of them is going to be easily getting precipitated? Or we can talk about even multiple number. Let's say for example we have Ba2 plus ions, hydroxide ions, sulfate ions, phosphate ions, like that, maybe carbonate ions. So from here, right, we can have a possibility of barium hydroxide getting precipitated, barium sulfate getting precipitated, barium phosphate getting precipitated, and barium carbonate also can get precipitated. So what will be the relative ease of precipitation, and how do we find out which salt is going to be precipitated first? So to do this, right, we have an approach. The approach is very simple, that if we look at the KSP values of each of these salts, let's say KSP value of AgCl and KSP value of AgI. From the KSP values, we can find out what is the concentration of Ag plus required to start getting the precipitation. So for every salt, depending upon the KSP value and the corresponding other ion concentration, we can find out here. If you know KSP value of AgCl and Cl minus concentration, we can find what is the Ag plus required to start precipitation. Similarly, if you know the KSP value of the AgI and I minus ion concentration, simply if we divide, right, so KSP value of the AgI divided by the I minus ion concentration will give us what is the Ag plus required to start having the precipitation. Now between these two, whichever is lower, let's say for example we get the Ag plus concentration required for the precipitation of AgCl is, let us say for example, we are just taking some numbers, 10 power minus 3 molar. The Ag plus ion concentration required for the precipitation of AgI is let's say for example 10 power minus 5 molar. Means what? As low as 10 power minus 5 molar itself, the AgI is going to be getting precipitated. The AgCl will be precipitated when the concentration comes to what? 10 power minus 3. So which is going to be relatively easily getting precipitated? It is the AgI. So what is the approach? We look at that the common ion. So here it is not like the common ion effect that we talk about. We'll talk about the common ion effect in case of the solubility also in the next part of the video. But here if you look at many salts having a chance of getting the precipitation, then we will try to find out what is the concentration value of this Ag plus ion for each of these salts where the precipitation can start or begin, and whichever is having the lowest value of these concentrations, right, means that salt is going to be getting precipitated first. So that is the way we will compare. Same in this case also, we will find out what the barium 2 plus ion concentration that is required for the precipitation of barium hydroxide, for the precipitation of barium sulfate, for the precipitation of barium carbonate, for the precipitation of barium phosphate, and we will see in which case the required concentration of barium 2 plus for the precipitation is least, and that salt is going to be the one that is going to precipitate first. So this is the way in which we are going to compare the ease of precipitation. Now what we'll do is we'll take a look at one sample problem in this so that we'll be able to understand it clearly. So let's look at this question. A solution contains 0.0010 mole of Ki and 0.1 mole of KCl per liter. So per liter we are having what? 0.0010 mole of Ki, means the Ki concentration will be what? 0.001 moles per liter, and KCl concentration is what? 0.1 mole per liter. AgNO3 is gradually added to the solution. See, Ki and KCl are what? Strong electrolytes. They are going to completely dissociate to give us what? I minus and Cl minus. Now AgNO3 is gradually added to this. Which forms first? Whether it is a solid AgI or solid AgCl. So we need to find out which is going to be forming first. Is AgI going to form first or AgCl going to form first? Okay. Now for this, what is the information given to us? The information given to us is KSP values of both these substances. So KSP value of AgCl is given as what? 1.6 into 10 power minus 10. KSP value of AgI is given as what? 1.5 into 10 power minus 16. Now understand the concept what we said. The salt that will form at lower Ag plus concentration is the one that is going to precipitate first. So whichever salt that will start the precipitation at a lower value of Ag plus will be the one that is going to be precipitating first. So how do we find, let's say for example from the AgCl, so this side we'll have AgCl and this side we'll talk about the AgI. So Ksp value of AgCl is what? 1.6 in 10 power minus 10, means 1.6 in 10 power minus 10 is equal to the Ag plus concentration into Cl minus concentration, right? What is Cl minus concentration? Cl minus is coming from here, KCl, which is what? 0.1, means the Ag plus concentration required for the precipitation of AgCl is what? 1.6 into 10 power minus 10 divided by 0.1, means it is what? 1.6 into 10 power minus 9. So this is the Ag plus concentration where the precipitation of AgCl will start. Now look at the AgI side. So for the AgI, what is the Ksp value given to us? AgI Ksp value is given as what? 1.5 into 10 power minus 16. So this is equal to what? The Ag plus concentration over here into I minus concentration. What is I minus concentration? 0.001. We can also call it as what? 10 power minus 3. So which is what? I minus concentration will be 10 power minus 3. So from here we'll get the Ag plus concentration required for the precipitation is what? 1.5 into 10 power minus 16 by 10 power minus 3, means what? 1.5 into 10 power minus 13 will come. Now we compare both of them. So here what is the Ag plus concentration required for the precipitation? 1.6 in 10 power minus 9. Here what is the Ag plus concentration required for the precipitation? 1.5 in 10 power minus 13. Which is lower? This is lower. Means at as low as 1.5 in 10 power minus 13 concentration itself, we will see that the AgI will start getting precipitated. So relatively, which will be easy to get precipitated, it is the AgI. So the answer for this question is what? Which will be forming the precipitate first? It is the solid AgI that is going to be formed first. Clear guys? So this is how we look at problems on the relative ease of precipitation. Now just like the way we talked about the common ion effect in case of the dissociation of acid in water or base in water, or the simultaneous dissociation of two acids or two bases, here also we will be having the common ion effect. So common ion effect will be what? If you have the solubility, of a sparingly soluble salt, if you have a solubility of sparingly soluble salt with a salt which is highly soluble, this is similar to what we have an weak acid plus strong acid kind of a scenario, or we can have a combination of two sparingly soluble salts. This is like combination of two weak acids. So we can have common ion effect in both the category 1 type as well as category 2 type. So in the next part of the video we will see how we will try and analyze the common ion effect in case of the solubility of the sparingly soluble salts. Okay, we'll see in the next video.